So you guys have been watching through the breaks and earlier today, the beautiful visuals on the screens. Some of that content has been Seaborn. Um, Natalia, for people unfamiliar with Seaborn and maybe even the category, why don't you give us a little background on the company?
Well, I would love to. Josh, first of all, hello everyone. And I will, before I answer the question, I will share a little story. We were walking into the building. I just got back. I just flew from Seattle, took a red eye, and so it was like kind of hell of a morning. Many of you can relate. And we walked into the building, and the lady security officer goes, "Oh, I bet I know where you are going. There are all these powerful women who are walking by inspiring me all day. So thank you all. Give yourself a round of applause. That's what we do. We inspire each other and inspire others around me and around us. How many of you are familiar with Seaborn? All right, few. How many of you have ever cruised before? All right, we have a whole market opportunity here since I am planning Josh's 20th anniversary. So I was thinking about it today as I was catching the slims of the conversation. This room is full of outstanding women with amazing careers, and I thought, man, I still have a best job in the world. I am honored to be a president of Seaborn, which is an ultra luxury cruise line. And what really differentiates us, we have very small yacht-like ships, and what we do is we provide an ultra-luxury travel experience all around the world in a way that connects our guests in a most authentic way with destinations and places they visit, with each other, and with communities they visit. We do sail to 7 continents. Last time I checked, last year we sailed to 473 ports, and we have ships that are going through Antarctica and have full ice-breaking capabilities, and more traditional ships that go to Greek islands, and we go everywhere. Now we're getting ready to launch our warm water expeditions in Kimberley. How many of you have heard about Kimberley? I haven't until recently, but Kimberley is an amazing place in Western Australia. It's one of the wonders of the world. You can't really get there unless you spend like 5 days on helicopters, and or you go on Seaborn and we take you there, and it's an amazing opportunity to experience some of the wonders of the nature, but also some of the most oldest, unique indigenous communities and celebrate that shared humanity. So that's what we do. And so we will plan your 20th anniversary on Seaborn.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. I've not been on a cruise, but my 20th anniversary is coming up, so maybe it will be spent with Seaborn. So it sounds like, I mean, amazing organization. We'll get into your path to getting to Seaborn, but the industry itself, has focused on cultivating, and Seaborn has focused on cultivating talent, diverse talent, especially around women, both as you would say on shore as well as on the boats themselves. Talk a little about that evolution of Seaborn and the company, and sort of how you think. Obviously, probably it may have skewed heavier on ship, on service roles, front of house, but talk about sort of the changes in both the executive offices, the onshore, as well as on the ships.
Yeah, well, so first of all, I do know we all are here united by the passion of empowering and enabling women to live to their full potential. I also know that everyone here in the room knows that women are not under-talented. In fact, I sit on 2 boards of the universities. Women actually have slightly higher GPAs than men, including in the School of Engineering and business schools, so which probably reflects our strive for we are perfectionists a little bit. And when people say women choose not to grow in a career, that is wrong, because every organization I worked in, when you look at the workforce, 50% of more workforce are women. So women do choose to work. Women are very talented, but when we start going up the chain, right, the percentage of women representation start dropping. So I do know that we all are united by that passion of supporting talent in women and living to their full potential. But I do want to answer your question, that the big reason for us all who are in business is it makes business sense. So I will ask you all, how many of you make travel decisions for yourself or your families? 84% of travel decisions, regardless of destination or form of travel, are done by women. 82% of travel advisors are women, and actually I am super honored because there are a few of them here in the room who are working very closely with us as well as other companies. And so when we represent women among the ranks of our leadership, we actually are representing our guest base and representing people who are driving and influencing travel decisions. So it makes a completely direct business sense. We do have ways to go, but I am very proud of our success, both shoreside and shipboard. In the last 12 months, we have over 50% of women shipboards over 50% of workforce that are women. But I'm very proud to say we have 221 female officers on shipboard, which is 40% increase since 2019. Nice. In the last 12 months, we promoted first 2 female staff captains and 3 female first officers. So I can't wait to welcome a first female captain as well, hopefully in the near future. I was doing actually a count today before coming here. Exactly 50% of my executive leadership team, shoreside, are also female leaders. And you say why it happens. It's not because we are following the quotas. We're giving decisions to most talented individual for specific role. But I do believe that more of us that sit in different roles and more of us that show different phases of leadership, the more confidence we give to other talented female leaders to say, I too can do that, and I too have aspirations to grow, and I will pursue higher career aspirations.
And obviously it takes leadership to be able to really drive that inside the organization. You came prior to the cruise industry. You came from Procter & Gamble, from P&G, which many of the CPG companies have these amazing talent development and cultivate leadership. Talk a little about sort of the learnings from being inside of P&G and how you've taken those learnings and brought them to Seabourn.
Well, first of all, I consider myself very fortunate. I actually worked in a number of very, very organizations that are very diverse and really centered around it. I worked for United Nations, I worked for P&G, very closely I worked with Clorox, who is also doing a great job in areas of diversity, and now with Carnival Corporation and Seabourn. I think the biggest things that I learned from P&G that I try to take everywhere is when we try to enable talent development in general. That doesn't mean that it's not just centered around women or any kind of minority or diversity groups in general. It's like a business goal. It requires an objective, effort, and a process. And P&G is fantastic in talent development in general. The day I started, I was introduced to Women Network. I was assigned number of mentors, both women and men. I know earlier today, and I'm pumped that I missed that conversation. But there was a session, right, on the power of mentorship, and I think we all agree. By the way, women are over-mentored and under-sponsored. So hopefully you guys talked about it. Like, don't just settle for mentors. Let's all ask who is not only coaching us but advocating on our behalf when we are not there, and that's what defines sponsors. But I think that it's really important to have those processes and goals, because, and the goals doesn't mean quarters or something. The goals means working with individual women to develop what they want to achieve, their career blueprint. So that helped me tremendously. Procter have really introduced me to the power of networking and having smaller group discussions. So what do we do on number of every other company I worked on, but specifically for Seaborn, I do think I started sponsoring a women's speaking series where women like yourselves, right? We get together and we invite and rotate and share our experiences. And those sessions became so popular. It now spread to multiple brands, and now it's spread to Shipboard as well. And it's through the entire Carnival Corporation. 9 brands participate now in this speaking series. We did start a mentorship program where we helped women assign. And most recently, in the last 12 months, I started the program of Coffee Connects on a Shipboard, because I do believe that every time any of us visit that, bringing female leaders on a shipboard, it's a very different environment. And again, what it opens up, it's not about them learning from me. It's about them realizing that they can learn from each other if they experience very similar things. And so it creates that connection and that safe space to talk.
Right. So, as you mentioned, United Nations, Procter and Gamble, then into a new industry. But you've also made a shift from being in finance, most of your career in finance, ultimately becoming CFO within the organization, now to president. Probably sounds daunting to a lot of people in the room, not just women, that of making a shift in industry as well as function from financial, from being in a financial role to an operating role. Any insights into making that shift? I know you had a crossroads early on at a business school. I think you were telling me that you had a choice. Do I go into finance? Do I go into marketing? But talk a little about that journey from switching, careers from finance to now an operating role.
Well, I'll ask another question of the audience. How many of you have switched your functional focus around through your career? So it's not that uncommon, right? And one of the women mentors from P&G and Schwister used to tell, career is not a straight line, it's a jungle gym, and I really do believe that is it, right? There are so many opportunities and sometimes unexpected opportunities that take us to different places. But I will also ask the question, how many of you had a goal 5 years ago to be in a position you are in? That's great, much fewer. I am one of the people who have not had ever a specific goal to be in a specific position or title. I don't know if it's good or bad. Everyone has a personal view on that, but I think it's individual actually for everyone. What I did have a goal is to challenge myself, and I love business. When people said, why you're in finance? I said, well, I'm not a finance person, I'm a business person. The reason I love finance, because I felt it gives me most objective view of the business and business levers, and I followed that passion, and opportunities came along. When I transitioned from CFO to COO role, it was quite unexpected. We were restarting our cruise operations after the pause of pandemic, and my CEO called and said, I need you to step into this role and lead the restart of operations. And I was scared. I was I never led all these functions. And he said, we would never ask you to lead it if we had any doubts that you can do it. And so sometimes you just get that confidence and say well, others believe in me, I'm gonna believe in myself. I loved it, and loved the more direct impact on what's happening, right, an executional aspect. And of course, when I got an opportunity to become a president, that was both exciting, huge honor, and again, in those crossroads in my life, what I found helpful is, one is knowing what my aspirations are. And my aspirations were not related to specific title, but they were very much related to chartering my own destiny, stepping outside of comfort zone and making sure that I feel I'm learning every day and making a difference. So that helped me decide, and if it met that criteria, I took it. And I did ask for advice. I really, really asked for advice of people I trusted. And so I personally found that incredibly helpful. And sometimes I was sharing with you the story when after grad school I was deciding between marketing, job offer, and finance. I truly didn't know. So I asked for advice of the person I trusted, and he said, listen, if you don't know, just do this. And I found it helpful occasionally, otherwise we can go through analysis paralysis.
Right. But that anecdote you just gave of not thinking you were ready for that next role, but being asked, we talked a little about that is a very different mentality probably from men to women, that women want to feel like they are 100% ready to take on the role before asking for the role. And you were really now posed with this real question of, do I take that leap and am I able to do it, versus even asking to be promoted into that role?
Yeah, I have a sense that probably majority of attendees here share that opinion, but if you are getting an opportunity for which you're 100% ready, then you're not aiming high enough and you're not developing yourself, right? That's my personal belief. So I don't think if we always wait for 100% ready, we wouldn't be learning new things. I do think, there is statistics, not that I think there is statistics that show that our male partners apply for a job when they meet slightly above 50% qualifications, and women don't even apply until they're 90% plus already. So I do think our male partners we can learn from, that they do have a little bit more of that confidence of I'm gonna learn and I'm gonna step up. I have 2 daughters, and I tell them all the time, do you want to do that? They say yes, but I'm not sure I can, and I'm afraid. I said, that's okay, do through being afraid. And by the 3rd time they do it, they're not afraid anymore. So I have to till now tell that to myself as well. I am afraid. Being afraid, there is a difference, right? Being courageous does not mean to be fearless. Being courageous means to be able to face your fears. And so I do think it's normal to feel uncomfortable, but stepping in and saying, I do want to do it, I will try. And what's the downside? The biggest downside is you will get no, and you'll stay with the status quo. But the upside is tremendous, because you might get next role, next opportunity, next promotion, and you will learn and make a difference. And we are really great at learning.
So I was going to ask you, but it may sound like in that answer, that one piece of advice that you wish you would have gotten earlier in your career, what was that one piece that you've learned later in your career, but if you would have had it a decade ago, you would have felt maybe different?
I don't know if it's I wish I had, but I did have a story that was an eye-opening for me early on in my career that I have shared several times with few people. I started at Procter & Gamble as a young analyst, and as I said, we were assigned mentors, and there were a lot of organized network and support programs. And about 6 months in, I was kicking ass. I had no doubts about that. I had no doubts about that. I did have a confidence to recognize the results that I was driving, but about 6 months in, we had this formal connect where this lady who was a director at the time, Erin O'Grady, was assigned to meet with me from a women network. She was obviously, a developed leader at the time, with my manager, and she was interviewing me. And one of the questions she asked me, she said, are you interested in director and above opportunities at some point of time? And I went on this long answer. I'm like, well, I'm gonna work hard and hopefully my results will be noticed, and on and on. She interrupted me and said, I need yes or no answer. And I again went on and on about like how my manager will give me feedback if I'm doing well. And she said, Natalia, we are not telling you we're going to promote you. You will have to earn that. I am just asking you a question. Are you interested in being a director in a above role one day if you're ready? And your answer has to be yes or no. I don't let you speak more. So I sat there, I was so uncomfortable with that question, and I finally said yes, and she said, "Phew, okay, free to go." I left the room, and I was walking back with my manager, and he pulled me aside, and we had fantastic relationships with him, and he said, "Wow, you worked for me for 6 months," and I was super surprised with that answer. I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Look, you never shared with me that you are interested in growing into leadership roles." And I said, "Well, I'm working hard and I'm hoping you're noticing the results." And he said, "Yes, but every one of your peers," all of them were men, by the way, at that specific organization at the time, "have shared with me every aspiration for next 5 years." And so the longing for me was, and the advice that I give from there on to all women, no one is a mind reader. Do not leave your career in hands of someone else guessing. Share your dreams, aspirations, and what you want, and make it clear. You may not get it today, but people in the world love to help someone else to achieve the dreams. And when your dreams are well articulated and well known, usually that saying, the universe sort of unites, and there will be way more opportunities opening up. So that would be my advice.
Great. I think that's a great place to end. Let's give a round of applause for Natalia Leahy from Seaboard.